Well, joining us once again is Vincent J. Russo with another installment of In the Legal Know. Last week we discussed steps to take when selling your home. And Vincent, you left off on the legal aspects of that, selling your home. So let's get right into it. Here's my first question. What services does the attorney provide to someone selling their home?
Okay, great question. So we start with the concept that you should have an attorney involved, because this is one of the largest transactions you'll ever have, and there are legal consequences. You are going to sign a real estate contract, and that's a legal document. So the lawyer comes in and helps in a number of different ways. First, hiring of a broker. If a real estate broker has not been hired yet, that's another agreement, a legal agreement that the seller is going to enter into. And so getting the advice of the attorney or even recommending a number of real estate brokers can be helpful. Second is the real estate contract. And that's going to be critical, that all the right provisions are in there to protect the seller and how this transaction is going to play out. And then representing the seller at the closing. So once we have a buyer, the next step is to agree to the terms. The seller's attorney drafts the contract, sends it over to the buyer's attorney. They negotiate. Then it's signed. All right, and now we're moving forward with the deal.
Yeah, and that sounds like a lot of steps, but there's so many more steps after that. So then now what happens?
Okay, so now that we have a contract, first there's going to be money transferred by the buyer to the seller's attorney, and that should be held in escrow. Never commingled with any other monies at the law office. And so very important, the escrowing of the down payment. Now, if the buyer is going to get a mortgage to be able to afford the purchase, then there's a mortgage contingency. They have so many days to get a mortgage commitment. And so that's going to be monitored by the seller's attorney to make sure that they get that mortgage commitment within the time frame. If they don't, sometimes there's a negotiation to extend the time to get that mortgage. Then there's a title report ordered by the buyer's attorney and sent over to the seller. And now with a title report, it's a can of worms.
Yeah, so I mean, people are like, oh, you're putting out escrow, title report, so tell everybody, title is super important when you're buying, selling a home. So tell us exactly what a title report is.
Sure. The buyer is going to want to make sure that what they're purchasing can be transferred by the seller and have what's called clear title. And so a title report is ordered, and now it's the seller's attorney's job to look at that title report and deal with any legal issues that come out of that report. Open permits, boundary issues, outstanding mortgages, file judgments are all what we call a cloud on title. So for example, you may have purchased your home and then added a deck and didn't get a permit for it. Or you got a permit, but you didn't close the permit. You didn't get it approved after the deck was built. You may have satisfied a mortgage, but did they file the satisfaction of mortgage in the county clerk's office? If it's not filed, there's an outstanding lien on the property. So this is where the seller's attorney will help clear title so that we can get to a closing and the seller can get their money.
Yeah, like hidden potential issues that you could face, once you look at that title. So the title clears.
Right.
What happens now? Okay,
so once title clears, the seller's attorney will prepare a deed to transfer the property to the buyer. We'll prepare a closing statement, calculate the costs at closing, and whether the seller has to pay those costs or the buyer has to pay those costs. Any ancillary documents may have to be prepared also and reviewed, and then attending the closing itself. So you'll go off and attend the closing. Sometimes it's now done virtually, but the attorney's there to make sure that the seller is going to get the payment, the final payment on that house, and transfer the title.
I've bought and sold many houses, and I can't even imagine it not having an attorney. I mean, the most important step in that process is having those checks and balances and having somebody knowing what, to do. You checked everything off. Tell everybody where they can learn more about you and and everything.
Sure. We have a free educational guide on real estate transactions. So you can go to our firm's website at vjrussolaw.com and go to our guide icon, click on it, and we have a number of guides and one on real estate.
Wow, Vincent, very helpful today, very insightful. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you.
My pleasure. Feel better.